Alrighty. Give Jim McElwain and the University of Florida's football team credit. They certainly responded off last week's game, as I knew those guys in that locker room would. They came out and played very well defensively in the game, and defensively for us, extremely disappointed. Continued to struggle with some things in the run game. We had guys at the point of attack. We had some missed tackles, some missed leverages. We had 3 third downs in the first quarter or first half that we don't convert, which is critical to get off the field in those situations. But as poorly as things had gone, it's a 14-point game at halftime, and you got every opportunity in the world to capitalize on some things, and we just never got over the hump as far as some things that we needed to do, convert in the game. But our guys fought their butts off to put themselves back in the game. Extremely proud of that. We've got a bunch of young players that are going to continue to improve, but we didn't handle the moment very well early in the game as a football team, and that was very evident. But you give Jim and his staff and his football team credit, and I'll open it up for any questions. Yeah. Well, we've got to get faster as a team. I've said that all season. That's something I've hit on. It's really hurting us on special teams, is coverage speed, and Antonio's a really good player and special with the ball in his hand. But that's a major issue for our football team. We've got to improve our team speed.
Well, how was emotion? Talk about emotion for your players. How about for yourself coming back here for the first time?
It's about the people. It's not about the logo. It's not about the buildings. And there's a lot of people that obviously, because it hasn't been a long time ago that I was here, as far as just to shake Jim's hand at the end and you stand there for 15 minutes with players talking to players, and that's what it's all about. The relationships you build with people over a period of time. A lot of people that still work here at Florida that I'm very close with and always will be. So that's part of this, and as you move forward, there'll be less players involved, which is probably the better part for me, because that's what I really care about.
How do you feel like Jake did in his first game?
I thought he did well. Had 2 critical drops. Brian's maybe a touchdown, and then you have Hayden's early in the game to get something going, to get a little momentum. You have 2 critical drops in the game, but I thought he responded extremely well, fought his butt off. And we'll continue to get better, and it's the future's extremely bright.
Their downfield coverage, how much did that affect Jake and you in the first half especially?
Well, they did a nice job. They kept some guys cut off down the field, and they did a good job with their 4-man rush. There weren't a lot of pressures involved. They got 4 pushing the pocket pretty good. But again, Josh, those 2 drops were huge for us in the first half. A first down that's going to put the ball at midfield. All right, that was a well-thrown ball, well-run route, well-protected. And then we caught him in the coverage we wanted on the dig with Brian, and that's maybe a touchdown. So when you play against a really good defense like that, you have to capitalize on those plays. You got to make those plays.
The pressure that Florida defensive line was getting, how much of that was maybe Jake holding the ball too long?
Well, I think it's a combination of they've got really good cover people, and there's tight zones to throw the ball. There's tight man coverage to throw the ball. So you're anticipating guys coming out of cuts. That's a part of it. Part of it we can protect a little better. Part of it they got really good players. Part of it Jake needs to get rid of the ball. So it's an all-encompassing deal. It's not one thing. We did miss a protection with a back at one time and a tight end on another. So it's a combination of things, not one thing.
What does it say about Jake's poise, the way he handled those last 2
Right.
drives, and then also what were you doing differently?
Well, nothing really. They had, we hit some intermediate inside routes a little better, as opposed to some vertical outside routes. We changed it up there schematically, but better execution, better feel for the game. The speed of the game continues to slow down for him, as well as Brian Edwards and Rico Dowdle and Chavis Dawkins and all the other guys that are playing for the first time, especially against an elite group on defense.
Were there any common threads in some of the defensive breakdowns?
What's that?
Were there any common threads on some of the defensive breakdowns?
Well, we had guys at the point of attack. You got to tackle. He's fine. He's fine. The only injury I think is Chris Moody has a bone bruise. And that's it.
Coach, you said Tuesday you wouldn't know how you would feel until you got here to the stadium. Through everything that you did experience, seeing those people, getting that environment, what's the emotion you feel after?
Well, again, you dial into the game when you get to the stadium and the things you got to help your football team and your staff with on game day. Certainly seeing a lot of the guys on the field was interesting. You know, again, when the ball tees off, you're ready to go play, and it was a normal game other than that.
The drops, the missed tackles, what do you attribute that to? Just the environment and the atmosphere?
You know, I mean, I like to be technical about it. I think it was hand position on the drops might have been an issue. I mean, that's something you got to go back and look at. They have good backs. I know in several instances, the missed tackles, we didn't bring our feet. We stopped in the hole a couple times, and when you stop in the hole against a better athlete, it's a hard time tackling him. So those are things to me that I, you know, just after not watching the film that I would say, right?
Do you think any of the talks on the SEC standings had an effect on your team?
No.
Were you surprised that Florida was able to generate so much pressure just from one rush?
Well, again, I think that they have very tight coverage down the field, so there's not a lot of open throws when you play against that defense. You got tight throws, and you got to be able to fit the ball in. A lot of times you got to have see guys and create separation in the route. So they got good rushers. You'll see that in April.
This is your first road game in almost a month and a half. Do you feel like the crowd got them a little bit and then what they were playing at home?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I do feel like we're a different team at home, and that's not a good thing. And we've got to learn to go on the road and play well. And that's something that, you know, I told the guys in the locker room is learn from it and move forward. And that's what we're going to do.
What did you tell the offensive line at halftime after 3 sacks with averaging less than 2 yards a carry?
I didn't tell them anything. It just we're going to coach them and be technical on what we need to do to be successful. That's a really good defensive front we're playing. We got in too many predictable down and distances to be successful against a defense like that.
Coach, one last home game, one more win needed for bowl eligibility. What do you do to build off this to get ready for Western Carolina?
Well, we're going to meet tomorrow with our players. We're going to show them the film, correct the mistakes. There were some very positive things that we're going to build from and learn from it and get eligible for a bowl game for our seniors. That's the most important thing.
Was there any specific players, guys in Florida, that you wanted to reach out to after the game, to shake their hand or say hi to them?
There's about 18 of them I saw there.
Does it mean a little bit more being senior day here for some of these guys?
It's just good to see those guys.
Is this kind of another one of those games where down, the defense isn't quite where you want it to be, but with turnovers and red zone stops, it kind of pulls itself out of the fire?
That's what I've been saying all year, right?
Did you get a chance to see Coach Spurrier today? Was there any?
Yeah, I did before the game.
What did he say? Anything special?
He's great, as usual. Just wish us luck and hope things go well. Yeah. All righty.